Hey everyone, Mac is back. Today we're going to continue with the Commander series, and we're going to talk about Theon, Daenerys, Oberyn, Tyrion, and Varys. We're going to go over their abilities in the Siege of Winterfell and check out and see if you should have them in your lineup or not. Let's get to it. So first we're going to start off with Theon here, and his rage cost is 700, so that's quite significant. That's one of the higher ends of the rage cost. Cooldown is 12 seconds, so that's the norm. His skill is reduces the normal attack damage dealt by enemy troops in a circular area for 3 of them by 80% for 5 seconds, and at the same time increases the bow attack for a commander by 900% for 5 seconds, which is absolutely massive. And then his bonuses is the health and defense for that front line of your bows, and then the total attack is added on top of that. So he's identical to Jaime that I talked about in a previous video, except Jaime's for spear and he is for bow. Massive amount of damage he's going to do, plus the normal attack damage, reducing that as well. So if you have a bow lineup, 100% chance that you're putting him in there and using him. Now, Dani is one of those special commanders because she's cost a lot to be able to get to gold. It takes time to be able to do so unless you have a lot of money to spend. So looking at her rage cost is 1,000, which is absolutely massive. Just a lot. It takes a lot of time to be able to get her skill off. So you really hope her skill is very, very good. Cooldown is 12 seconds, which is, again, you would hope that would be a little lower, but because of the cost of the rage, but it is not. So again, looks awful to start. And then we look at the skill, inflicts a bleed on the enemy troops in a circular area. So we're talking about 3 targets getting a bleed, causing them to take damage, coefficient of 700 every second for 6 seconds. So now you're talking 6 seconds, coefficient of 700, which is going to be like basically 4,300 coefficient of damage to 3 targets. That's pretty stupid. That's better than Theon. That's better than a Jaime, in my opinion, because you're doing it. They're all 3 doing it to 3 targets, but now this bleed that's going on is pretty ridiculous. And then on top of that, if you have her gold, you get 200% totals across the board. So that rage cost is definitely worth getting that Dracarys off for sure. Looking at Oberyn is the next commander. His rage cost is 600, so it's a little bit less than the 700 we had for Theon, so it's a little bit better. The cooldown is 12 seconds, so that's the normal. The skill increases the bow attack of the command troop by 1200% for 8 seconds. I love seeing 8 seconds there because that's a long time to get 1200% more bow attack. And then his base bow attack is 240%. So he's another one you're going to want to have in there. So Theon and Oberyn together, very, very powerful lineup for those bows out there. All right, looking at Tyrion, 700 rage cost on the upper end as well. 12-second cooldown is normal. His skill renders the targeted troops incapable of dealing normal attacks, counterattacks, and skill attacks for 6 seconds. So this is essentially silencing the troops. So they're not going to be able to do their normal attacks against you. So, like for instance, his normal attacks are the total attack of 120% right now. That would be silenced if that was going against you. And then the counterattack. So any of those counterattacks that are going on, they're gone as well. No, you're not going to be able to get any of those. And the skill attack. So if you're facing Daenerys and she's getting her skill off, that skill it's nullified. You're getting no damage whatsoever. So this is very, very powerful. But you need to have him in a lineup that you have a lot of stats in there, a lot of bonus stats. Because if you don't, he's going to give you 120% attack and defense, and that's it. And then this ability to silence them. So that ability can be very good. It can save you, and you can do that, be kind of a counter damage to them. But at what cost, I guess, is really going to happen. Looking at Varys, our last commander here, his rage cost is 400, very low. Love to see that. His cooldown is 12 seconds, which is the norm. His skill reduces normal attack damage dealt by targets by 90% for 4 seconds. We've seen something similar to this before. Reducing that normal attack damage dealt to targets. So they're doing a lot of damage to you. This will reduce that by 90%. They'll only get 10% damage off of those 4 seconds. And his bonus is 240%. So you want to put him in, especially for a spear lineup if you're free to play. Definitely would want him in there. So until next time, Mac out.